חתנו מכל העמים, מכל העמים, אהבת יסנו, הרסי סמנו, אהבת...
Recording. Okay. So we summarized in the top section the principles that were discussed previously. That there is Ayin Soif, but within the Ayin Soif there is also the root for Spheres, for the Kav, and that is called Eses Spheres Agnusis. And the Eses Spheres Agnusis, Agonus, contained within the Ayin Soif. In other words, despite that they are Eses Spheres, but they are contained within Ayin Soif. So there's an Ayin Soif element along with being Eses Spheres. And the Kav, this is what comes after the Tzimtzum. And the Kav is drawn from this Ayin Soif and from the Eses Spheres contained therein. So the Kav, in essence, is representing both qualities, both aspects. The Eses Spheres, this is actually represented in the Kav directly. This is what's called Gilui HaHelam. And then there is the Ayin Soif. The Ayin Soif, this is also presented in the Kav, but it's Sholoi B'Yerech. But it's not the same at all. It's already after the Tzimtzum, and it is an entirely different level than the Ayin Soif. And yet it is representing it, but it is like a new creation from Ayin Soif. Amen. Ve-al-pi-zeh efshar yesh leimar. Based on the above, efshar yesh leimar, it's conceivable that we can say, that's a lotion from Rebbe, ma shemashmos ho'etz chayv. That which is implied in Eitz Chayim, who shehoyo yochel liyos, and the principle that we are alluding to, it's implied in Eitz Chayim, that in fact yohoyo yochel liyos gilu ir hakav mibli sheyitzamtzim ho'er. It was possible that that there would be a gilu of the ir hakav without the tzimtzum. V'yisalem b'tchilo, but tzimtzum means complete withdrawal of the oil, complete concealment. And the Kav could have been revealed without this tzimtzum. That's an implication in the Eitz Chaim, as we shall see. And what is this now alluding at, that we can explain this? We can explain it on the basis that we just now said that in the Ayin Soif also there is the source for the Kav. This is the Spheres Agnusis. Where do we see this implication that there could have been Gili Hakav without the Tzimtzum? V'hine, Beis Chaim Shar Aleph Soif Omid Nud Gimel Hiksha Beis Chaim Esakasha Lo Mahoyo HaTzimtzum Beifon Kozeh. Why was it Tzimtzum in such a manner? Shenistar Legoy Legamri, where the oil was totally removed. V'hakach nimshach hakav, and the kav was nimshach thereafter, after the removal of the oil. V'loi hiniach oison b'chinas hakav b'mkoimoi. It did not leave it in place, the kav aspect in place as it was before. V'yisaleg, and he should only remove shar ha'oil ha'godel bilvat. He would remove just the excess, the other great aspect of the oil only. that which is shulei be erech the kav, and leave the kav in place. That part of the Ayin Soif where the kav has a direct relationship, Gilui HaHelam, that should have been left in place. And the Ayin Soif where the kav is bein arech, that could have been removed. This is what the Eitz Chaim is saying, asking the question. Move on. However, we have a difficulty understanding the question of the Eitz Chaim. Since it's explained many places, that in order that there should be a Gilui Oyer, there should come forth such an Oyer, Hashayach al-Oilam is an Oyer that can relate to worlds. In order to bring forth such an Oyer that is Shayach al-Oilam is, there was a necessity that there should be total removal of the oil in order to bring forth a new kind of oil that is Sechel oil. And the Rebbe gives a motion for this. Before we go into the motion, we'll try to understand just the words as we have it now. Since we're saying that there should be a Gilui Oyer, Hashayach al Ha'olamis, what is so unique about Oyer Hashayach al Ha'olamis that can relate to worlds? The principle of world is that, by definition, world has to be able to relate to two states, presence and non-presence. This is the world. Like you're building something. Prior to building it, it's not there. And then you put it together, and now it's there. Something that is there inherently cannot be built. It's not a worldly presence. So if we want to have a Gilui Yoel Hashayach al Ha'olamis, there has to be Silug Oil Legamri, the Oil Ein Soif, that does not permit the concept of non-existence. It's Oil Ein Soif. Therefore, that has to be completely removed. And afterwards, you can have an Oil Hashayach al Ha'olamis, oil that can deal with worlds. Ukiyodua hamoshel bozeh behashpos ha-sechel. We have a well-known moshel for this in Hashpos.
I'm trying to understand. If we say that Ein Sof means that there is no non-existence, so if there is no non-existence, then Ein Sof had put it there symptom. Symptom means that it doesn't exist. What's in it?
The Atzmus is not compelled to allow the oil to be revealed. You can retract the oil and it should not be revealed at all.
So Silik means just it's not revealed, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
It exists in Atzmus. The Tzimtzum was in the oil, not in the Etzim. The Etzim remained what it was.
But even in the oil means it stays in the Atmos. It doesn't. It's not the giver.
That's right.
after the Tzimtzum.
That's right. This is already going into detail that we're not prepared to go into now.
That what we just said is the answer to the question of the Etz Chaim?
No. No,
So what is the question exactly?
the question is Chaim said that there could have been that why was the oil removed completely and then bring back the oil hakav?
Okay.
He should have just removed the oil that's in excess to the kav, but the kav should have been left in place.
Okay.
That's his question. So he says the moshel for this hashpaz hasech. From hashpaz hasech. The beseichel horav k'moi shehu le'atzmai. Where in the seichel of the Rav, as the Rav has the seichel for himself, Einoini kor klal, it's totally not obvious, ho'oir seichel ha'shaychel ha'mkaber. The oir of seichel, it's in seichel oir that can relate to the makaber. Ve-al-pi-zeh shemalim oiroi legamri. But then the Rav, by going through the process where he completely conceals his oil as he knows it to himself, Azai, then nifdal is separated, v'nikar, and becomes recognizable ha'oil ha'shayach al-makaber, the oil that can relate to the makaber. You want to understand this? Yeah? Okay, so please pay attention. As we said many times, Sechel, it's something which can be very confusing in our world. Sechel is not the result of some kind of experience. I'm a carpenter, and I built many tables, so I know how to build a table. Sechel is a demonstration, a revelation of how nefesh relates to things. Not that how the hands and the feet relate to things. That's what Sechel is. So koyach ha-nefesh, not only koyach ha-nefesh, it's a koyach ha-nefesh at its pinnacle. We can readily understand that in order to have taste, you have to have life in you. Something that has no life cannot have taste. You can grind down the kernel and make nothing of it, but it cannot have taste. Taste is a nefesh thing. So if this is true even on the taste level, how much more so is this true in the Sechel level? That does not have a kernel to relate to base it upon. It's a nefesh union completely. Sechel is based on nefesh. I know because my nefesh tells me, not because I've been affected by it. This is what's called Sechel Harav. Where the Rav has worked himself out so that he is actually aware and conscious and is able to absorb in his thought the message from the nefesh. A nefesh message. The Talmud, who has not gone through that regimen, to him, to understand something, he has to have kelim, worldly parameters. So to him, that Sechel has no shaykhs at all. We should be able to understand this quite well because we have demonstrated this in many different ways. So that in order that the Rav be teaching the Talmud something at the Talmud's level, a Sechel, but at the Talmud's level, he has to be able to identify the Sechel as it exists in the Talmud's world. And to do that, he has to raise up, conceal from his consciousness the Sechel as he sees it from the Neshama perspective. And then he'll be able to translate that Sechel on the worldly level. And that becomes ultimately the Sechel HaTalmud. Yes.
What's the guarantee that this Sechel that exists on a nefesh level will also exist on a worldly level? And how does the Rav know that when he hides his Sechel completely, he'll also find it in the Talmuds? I mean, I could I'm answering my own question.
You can?
The Eibishter is everywhere.
Please. I would appreciate it immensely. Not because you spare me the words, because I want to see that we are engaging our Sechel. Otherwise, there's no point.
Because if it's because God created the world, there's no place devoid of Him. So if it's true even on the world. Anything that's true is true also everywhere in a worldly level.
Absolutely. Put it in very simple terms. Again, it'll be challenging, but you have to understand and relate to the truth of this. The nefesh cannot be without a godly presence. Nor can the stable be without a godly presence.
When he translates it in the Talmud's world, why doesn't it cease to become Sechel?
What?
Why doesn't it cease to become Sechel? In other words, the Sechel...
Because he explains it on the Sechel level. He explains the Sechel element. He says a table is not wood. A table is a certain form. And it's not just a certain form, because the form is fit for a human use. That's a Sechel.
And that comes from the nefesh. That comes from a nefesh understanding, or
that comes from nefesh understanding, sure.
But yet it's on a worldly level.
That's right. In order to understand the difference between a human being and a cat, you have to have Sechel. Is that part of the world? not?
1 second.
Huh?
The difference between a human being and a cat?
Yeah.
Yes, it's also part of the world.
And that's a sechel that's perceived in the world.
Yeah. By the nefesh.
In other words, the difference between a human being and a cat is not only that a human being has mitzvahs and the cat doesn't have mitzvahs.
So what's the difference between the Rab's Sechel, the way the Rab understands the Sechel? That's, we're saying it's on a purely nefesh level.
Like I gave you just now. The Rav says cat has not shaykhs to human activity, has no shaykhs to mitzvahs. What is a human being about? If I don't use by a tape, that's a total deduction.
Is that nefesh al-keys versus nefesh Hamaskelis? Is
That's a difference. Thank you. All right. So the oir hashayach al hamakabel, the oir seichel that can relate to the makabel. Again, I'm calling your attention to the words the oir seichel, not the technical seichel, but the oir of the seichel. You can explain the technicalities of a table simply by saying it has this form. You put these things together and you have them stand. But you haven't explained what a table is. The oil sechel. That's oil, but that's an oil on the makabel's level. Like we said many times, it enables you to do things in a dignified manner. But how does the nefesh look at it? In dignity? Or a neshama reality not to be above world. No.
Saying that how does the neshama look at? It doesn't look at dignity. It looks at what was the second thing? The neshama reality above the world.
What do you think?
I'm just trying to just. The neshama is not looking at dignity. Dignity is a human kind of
so
experience.
what then? So how does the neshama look at the fact that a human being has to sit at a place and eat with a spoon?
How does the neshama look at it?
It's just the reality.
That it's fitting for this. It represents the malchus of the human being. He's the Baal boss of everything serves him.
What's so significant about that?
He's God's presence in the world.
All right. So, fine. You're repeating words. I don't like that. I want to talk to a human being.
He sees it, but he doesn't have
No,
any
no, no.
connection.
He's not getting into it. You're giving me an answer to my question. I don't need an answer to my question.
The neshama does not relate to it at all.
It's a din shechol orach. How can it be the neshama doesn't relate to it at all?
The neshama on its level doesn't relate to it. But as the neshama will go through its symptom, it will relate to it.
It's an neshama in you, it's not. We're not in a debate over here. We're trying to get to something, not just to debate it out. It's no point. I give up. If you want to debate me, I give up. You win. We explained many times, on a simpler level. The human being stands on 2 feet.
It allows the nefesh to function. The way that the person eats at a table, the nefesh can be revealed. That he does not have to. He does not put his head in the plate. In other words, his head is free. His head is.
Oh, does he? He remains aloof. He is above world. That's in fact what a human being is. That's why he's got rules how to form things in the world. So he shouldn't get dirty, worldly dirtiness, not dust. Shouldn't get absorbed. If you're going to teach your child to eat with a spoon and say, you must not get absorbed in your food.
Wouldn't be on the child's level. The child can't relate to that.
Wouldn't you? You're not talking to him.
Dirty he can relate to, and that's also not getting absorbed in the
It's
world.
not even dirty. It's just whatever. However, it depends on the child. But it's not to be super worldly. Not to get involved in your food. That's completely not reaching the child at all. There's no shachas to him at all. There's no shachas to him to that extent that he is important from mitzvahs. So why should he
So what
not
do you say for a child? What do you say for a child why to eat with a spoon?
say again?
What do you say for a child what to eat with a spoon?
That a child should eat with a spoon?
What I mean, you're saying that we can't say in the course to be above all. So what do we say? Why should he eat with a spoon?
Because it's neat, it keeps him clean, and things don't spill all over the place. The spoon it picks up just a certain amount of food that he needs for this bite, he puts it in his mouth.
But we're always saying that the child is more comfortable not with the spoon. He eats with the spoon because he feels from his nefesh that this is the right thing to do.
That's right. But you have to reveal it to him, to show it to him. If you don't show it to him, he
but
doesn't
when we
know.
tell him that, but we tell him that because of technically, because not because this is what we really want.
No, you tell it to him because he's a child who is able to understand it at that level. That's exactly what, how you teach a child, depending how you teach a child. If you're going to teach a child just the technicalities, you should look right, so then you're not talking to his Sechel. Okay, this is it for this morning.